Now, this article comes from Yahoo News. I'm going to leave a link to the article in the description box. But basically, there's a content creator who goes by the name of Expat Kings. And he came under fire recently because he's filming Filipinas without their consent and posting them on YouTube. And this article came out Friday, January 13th, 2023. And basically, they talk about, they start off the article talking about a creepy expat who was arrested for being with an underage minor and engaging in explicit acts and whatnot. We ain't gonna really get into that. We're gonna keep our focus on Expat Kings. Now, Expat Kings, his whole channel and his whole discourse of it is he's an American living abroad. He's a digital nomad, and his channel is a travel and lifestyle channel that will give you advice on international travel, living abroad as an expat, making money online, and meeting beautiful women all over the world, although he mainly sticks to the Philippines. And he prefaces that his channel is to give truthful insights on what it's like to travel the world as a black man. And yes, he's given that insight in more ways than one. And, according to the article, he talks about general topics like could you live on $1,200 a month in the Philippines, and the Wi-Fi in the Philippines. And he did a video on Angel City, Philippine college girls that has 1,600 views. So most of his videos cater towards a lowbrow frat boy or voyeuristic kind of audience. Where you're living through the content creator and whatnot. So he also has other titles of his video called How to Girl Proof Your Room, Avoid Getting Robbed, How to Find a Virgin Girl in the Philippines. Now, one would think, these titles, they're very innocent and simple enough because who wants to get robbed? But after, looking at the whole discourse of his channel and that he just walks down the street following girls that are quote unquote freelances, one would conclude that this person pretty much exclusively deals with the seedy underbelly element of that country. He doesn't deal with regular decent chicks that ain't about that life. And according to one person, it says here that he treats Southeast Asian countries like a pervert's Disney World. And another woman found it really scary, and there was someone else that labeled him a sex tourist, and dude is nothing but a creep. And several users so far encourage reporting the account. Now, the crazy thing about this all is the Expat Kings. His real name is TJ. The T stands for Tariq. So he posted the article in his community tab, and he got 154 comments. Some are supportive of him, others are not so supportive of him. They were just, giving advice and saying, yo, you really need to slow down on that. And then there was another person who I recognized in the comment section, Mike's Philippines. And Mike's Philippines was giving him some insight on the situation and was like, yo, those streets that you walk on, I have some bouncer friends over there, and they said you're not welcome in that club and some other places. They said to look out for you and whatnot. So, something, in essence, a guy like Expat Kings and to a degree in Austin Holloman, all they do is just make the block hot. And before cats like that came along, the block wasn't so hot. The block was, warm. It was quiet. It was static free. But since you have newer people entering the travel and expat sector of YouTube, you have people that don't really know how to move on these streets. They move very reckless and they're very sloppy as far as their presentations go. And I know some people are like, well, some Austin Holloman, he's like 23. I'm not sure what age that TJ is. And if I was to put them side by side with each other, I would say the two of them aren't innocent at all, regardless of what their age is. They're both American citizens, and they both had a clear intent as to what they were doing and what their outcome is, what their objective was, and what they were doing. So carefully, they're both not innocent. When you have an Austin Holloman interviewing some girls at the beach and asking them questions and then going and saying, get your passport, that wasn't innocent. And then you have some dude in the Philippines that walks down the street videotaping girls that without their knowledge and posting titles that insinuate something when it's not really that. Yeah, that's very reckless right there. And so, in essence, him and Austin Holloman, they're no different from each other. I know one may be a little bit extreme and blatant, whereas Austin Holloman, he wasn't so blatant, but the intent was there. Even if you used to go look at the titles and what he said in the video, it was there, it was present. But all I'm saying is this, fellas. You have to know how to move when you're in these countries. You also have to remember that you're a guest in the countries that you're in. Regardless if you're visiting or you're an expat, you have to remember you're a guest and you're subject to the house rules and guidelines. Now, if those two operated within the house infrastructure and guidelines of the country and everything like that, there wouldn't be too much smoke there. But you had one person there that was on the streets lambashing and saying this and that about Western women. And then you had another person that was going on his commentaries insinuating what the girls like that are. But he was just being reckless with it. So, yes, those two made the block hot. And guess who's going to affect at the end of the day? It's not just going to be those two that are going to suffer the consequences. This is going to affect, I predict that this is going to affect a lot of black males that are traveling abroad.